Hello and welcome to this Project in a Box video tour. I'm Malcolm West, the Managing Director of Project in a Box, and I'm going to be taking you here through Community Edition, our free project management tool. So Community Edition is a tool that really helps you get to grips with methodology. It provides a wide range of predefined methodologies, some standard methodologies off the shelf, some generic methodologies, but really very popular structured ways of managing your project. The document's laid out in processes, so you can click through and see which documents you're supposed to use in which place. Templates provided for these, and then the capability to manage that document, to produce assurance and audit trails for it as you make changes to it, and also to collect and store and manage any other materials that you need for your project, emails and any other notes of meetings and documentation, drawings, etc. that come in for you to manage. So it's a way of holding all the documentation together for your project and doing that in line with a methodology. So Community Edition has a range of methods provided as standard. You can also purchase additional ones to add on, and we'll be having a look at the full range of those in the session. But Community Edition can do more than that for you, because in partnership with the free planner tool that we also provide, so your download from our website will bundle these two together. The planner tool allows you to produce plans, Gantt charts, etc., and to manage risks and issues for your project as well. So taking the two in combination, you've got a really very powerful suite of software for managing your projects, all completely free. You can download it and use it for as long as you want to. You can give it to as many people as you want to, share it with whoever you want to. So really a very powerful set of tools, which is why it's been so popular. Community Edition now has well over 100,000 users. And it's not just a dead end. You know, many of these free products, well, you use a free product and then there isn't really anywhere to go. With our tools, when you're ready to move up to our commercial products, you can do that. So you can use Community Edition and Planner as long as you want to. There is no sort of crippleware after 30 days. It's going to say, right, you need to pay now. There's none of that involved. But if you do want to move up to our personal edition, that allows you to then personalize and customize the methodologies, and also do reporting and integration with email, etc., to manage your projects in a professional way. And we have 1,500 project managers who've done that. We then have our small team and enterprise editions, our multi-user platforms, which are aimed at sort of 20+ users, team working, where everyone can interact with the files, and you can extend that to include resource management and notifications and much more reporting, much more detailed audit trails, etc. On your projects. And those start at about £1,000. But nearly all of our commercial users start by using Community Edition, exactly the thing you're looking at. It gives them a really good feel for how our tools work, and it makes them think about putting their own methodologies in and how they might want to tweak and change the structures that are there. Okay, so without any further ado, let's go off and have a look at Community Edition itself. So here's the Community Edition on my desktop, and actually it installs, when you run the installer, Community Edition and Planner as two separate applications. Let's open up Community Edition and have a look at it. So here we are, and the first thing it shows us is a Getting Started wizard, just links us to some key things we might use. We can open an existing project, and in fact the system comes pre-provided with a range of empty projects using the standard methods that are provided for free. So we can get to grips straight away with the structured processes that are here. So let's have a quick look at the 3-step project management method. This is the lightest, simplest example project that we provide, and so a really good way of getting to grips with the tool. And we've got a diagram here laid out, so very quick to see what the various steps are in this project, etc. And we can simply point and click on the areas. So we'll see the cursor change to a hand when it's something we can click on. So if I click on Project Concept, it shows me the documentation we might expect to use during the project concept phase of the project. And here we've got a project mandate document, and it's got some files within it. Now this example's already been worked on a little bit, so it's collected various other things, but a new project, which we'll look at starting in a minute, would come in with a blank project mandate template. Now here I can see already this one's been through some version control. But to see the current version of the file, we just simply click on it in the tree and it will open the current version of the file. We can see that up here it's named as which project it's come from, FiveStep Example, Project Mandate Document, version 4, and it's a read-only because it's a view copy of the file. But I can read that. It opens using the associated applications as a Word file. It opens in Word. Very straightforward. If I want to make some changes to that file, I instead choose to check it out here. When I check the file out, I get it without being a view copy. So this is a copy that I can actually start to do some things to. So we can put anything in to here that we might want to. And then we can simply save and close it, and that will save it back into its temporary working location, which is actually what we call the checkout folder. So I can see that I've got this file currently checked out. The cross indicates that it's checked out. If I want to open my checkout folder, this stores all the files that I've got checked out on my various projects at present. So here's the one that we just checked out a second ago, so I can continue working on that if I want to until I'm ready to put it back in the system. And then when I check it back in to the system, I can leave a description if I want to about the changes I made, like that, and it's now put it back in. Straight away we've now got version 5 with changes in, and in fact if I click on here to view the latest copy, I get the one with the changes that I made earlier. Now all the previous versions of those files are stored in the history here. So if I want to come down here and look at version 3, for example, I can view the version from 3. I can even come back in fact and view the starting template. So it keeps all those versions of the file for me. So if I need to go back and see an earlier copy, I haven't lost them, I can't lose them in fact, because they're all stored here as part of the project structure. I can't though check out and change any of these old copies. Only the current one is available for checkout through the interface. So really neat way of just keeping in touch with that documentation. So it's showing me the things that are relevant, and as we can see I've collected some additional information in support of my project mandate, and that's often the way it would work. You've got a template, but actually people send you all sorts of notes and information they want you to include in a document, or comments on the document, etc., and you can store those in the same place. Now let's go off and have a look further down the process. If we come to start here, we'll see that it still shows us the project mandate because the project mandate is the input to our start process. But now we've got all these other things that it wants us to work on, and it's given us some hints and tips about what we're supposed to do with each of these things. So very helpful in laying out that process. We don't have to read a book or read some notes to find out what we're supposed to do at each point in the process. The system's going to show us. And in fact, when we come on to look at deliver here, we now no longer see the project mandate because it's really just not relevant at this point in the process. So it shows us just the things that are relevant to us for the process we've clicked on, and that's really useful when you're just trying to keep it nice and simple and focus on the activities at hand at that point in time. So if we come in and look at this particular point here, we've got a few things of note. We've got some empty documents here, so sometimes we don't have to have a template in every document, and this makes it different from a normal filing system. We've got an empty placeholder. We want to encourage you to record your conversations with the project board. So there's an empty document there with a hint and tip saying please put your content into here. So this is how we can add content to in fact any of these documents. It all works in the same way. I can simply select the document I'm interested in. So if I select here my project board advice document, that's now highlighted over here. You see the add file button is now lit up, and that would allow me to browse if I wanted to a file, but I can very simply just go and grab a file off my desktop or file system, drag it onto here. If I want to rename it or give it a description I can, or I can just drop it straight in. And I can do that in fact with any sort of file, because Project in a Box is really a filing system for your project. You can bring any sort of file in that you want to. I've got a Microsoft project plan here. I can bring that in as well. In fact, I can also bring in emails, which is very important because a lot of things are documented via a project in emails. In our commercial packages, you can drag and drop straight from Outlook, but in Community Edition that's not possible. So what you can do instead is you can drag your email from Outlook to the desktop, drop it there, and then drag it from the desktop onto Community Edition, and OK that, and that will now include your email here. Now all of these files that we've added here will open using the associated application. So if I click on this email I've just included, it will open using Outlook, and I'll be able to see whatever was in that email, any attachments, any chain of communications, and all the content that's there. So it's a really useful way of getting all that content straight in. It's now documented in that process, and in fact as I move on perhaps to look at the close process here, and we've got our project board advice. Of course it's brought all that content with it because we've added that to the document, and the document is shown at various places in the process. So that's a really neat way of collecting all that information together, working of course with your templates to document your project. Now in here we have other sorts of files as well, some things that are a little bit more interesting. That's why I mentioned Planner here. On this particular method we've got a project schedule risks and issues file, and we can again simply check that out. It opens in Planner because it's a Planner file, and we've now got a form where we can manage the issues and risks and plan for our project. So that's really easy to do. There's a whole load of more tools around Planner, not particularly going to cover that in any more detail here, other than to say it's there and it works and it's pretty straightforward to use. So that's our very basic methodology. Whole load of templates in there, and other tools that you might find useful, and the ability to store additional documentation against it. Now the way these methods work is that they have click areas identified. As I say, the most obvious ones here are for the process, but if we want to jump very quickly to something, we can pick those things up here. So if I want to go straight off and find my plan, it'll point me at just the document which has my plan in it. Same sort of thing for risks and issues as well. If I want to go off and find my report library, it'll show me anything where we might put reports. So we can build these things into our method. When you go into commercial products, you can customize all this yourself, and do far more actually than just link to folder structures, but in Community Edition it's limited at that level. Now actually there are some other things here given to us via the tab navigation. So if I come to guidance materials, you can see it changes the navigation diagram, and here it now gives me some links to other stuff I might find useful. Free project management stuff on our website, some forums, glossary information to help you manage terminology within the tool and within the methodologies, and other publications, etc. So very useful, and in fact you can go straight back to our website from here as well. And of course we can move to and fro within these as we need to. I said I'd talk about adding a new method, a new project from a method, so I'll do that, and then we'll have a little look through some of the other methods as well. Really very easy to do. Here, new project. We simply choose the method template that we want to create our project from, and it will set up all the materials that we need for that. And in this case I'm going to choose our full Prince2 method template, which is a licensed Prince2 product. It's not included for free in Community Edition. It's something you need to add on for just £15 actually in Community Edition. But I'll add that here, and we'll be able to see how that looks as well. So of course you can add any number of projects from our standard free method templates in Community Edition as long as you want to. You can manage hundreds and hundreds of projects in here should you be interested in doing that. So we simply select the method we want to create a project from and give it a project name. So I'm going to call this Example P2 Project. Okay, so that's done. It's a pretty quick exercise, and now I can come back and open project, and we'll see our new project is there. But before we go off and have a look at that, let's just look at some of the other ones as well. So here's our 5-step example. This is again another one of our generic methods. Users Prince2 templates, but the methodology that's laid out here draws from a whole range of different project management approaches to give it something that's pretty well structured for mid-complexity project. Follows exactly the same sort of pattern here. So if you're moving up from a really very simple project with perhaps just one set of deliverables into something that requires packaging up of the deliverables into stages, then this is the right thing for you. And of course it follows exactly the same sort of arrangement. We've got our documents at the project level here, and so we've got our project mandate, and as we come into start we see it unpacks a larger set of things. So here we're doing some benefits reviews, and we're managing product descriptions for the project, and a bit more detail in terms of appointments and business cases and various things like that. So it's an expanded set of documentation. And a particular thing to note is that it also makes use of this second tier of the navigation, which is the stage area. So this project is aimed at, or this method is aimed at, say, breaking down your deliverables of your project into stages. So it includes a first stage for us, and we can see during the start process we're thinking of defining product descriptions for our stage. As we come through into managing stages, the documentation starts to split between things that sit just once at the project level and things that we're going to hold for each of our stages, and we can see those there. And if we want to add a second stage, we simply come onto the stages title, manage stages, add our new stage like that. We can rename these things if we want to, and we'll see it then adds a second set of documentation in for the new stage. So the method template is split into two parts, project level and stage level, and it can add those extra sets of documentation in. Really very useful for a much more complicated, complex, structured project to be able to manage it at that level. Otherwise, the main project documentation structure would get overloaded. Now in the simplest method we looked at earlier, we just use the project level structure because that's entirely appropriate for a simple, low complexity project. Probably won't run for too long, probably won't have too much documentation. But this is structured for something more complex. And the third part of this tree that I wanted to highlight for you, so let's close down the stages, is the specialist area at the bottom. Now in Community Edition, this is the only part of the structure that you can change. The red documents at project and stage levels are management products. They're as laid out in the process, things that we want to always have to control the structure of the delivery of the project. But the specialist area at the bottom here is an open form area where we can put in anything that we want to, perhaps around the actual things that we're producing and delivering, the things that make each project different. And so here we can right click and we can either create folders or documents. And in fact in this specialist area, and the colours are different to highlight this, it always shows the same document structure irrespective of the process that you're in. So management products at the top, they change to reflect the particular process as we've seen so far, but the specialist, you always see everything because we don't know which particular area you're going to put various things in. So we can have folders nested within other folders, and within that we can put documents, and we can of course rename all these things, and we can then add to those the files that we're interested in. So we can hold communication, specifications, meeting notes, all that sort of thing into a nicely tiered structure without necessarily impinging on the more sort of assurance-led structured approach of the methodology. And in fact you can do this on even the small prints. You can do this on even the small processes such as the 3-step method. So obviously the rest of this works in exactly the same sort of way. Let's go off and have a look at the next method. DSDM a turn. This is one of our official licensed method templates. It's an agile process, but follows a very similar sort of route in that we start with something simple, we gradually collect more and more detail about what it is exactly we want to do in the project. In this case, of course, we're using a prioritized requirements list that we're developing, and then we're going to run through a set of increments with time boxes where we explore the project and develop some functions and features and deliverables against a time box. We might do any number of those, and these can be added here in terms of managing the increments. So this is using different terminology to the stages that we used in the generic methods, but basically the idea is the same. So as we finish one increment, we can add our new one, and we'll then have the documentation associated with that. So really quite easy to manage that process as well. This one includes links to roles and guidance materials and various other bits and bobs down the bottom here, but all there for you to explore. Here we've then got some of the sort of full official Prince2 materials. So let's have a look at the two different flavours of that. Firstly, we've got the resource pack, and this is what we ship as standard in Community Edition. So this Prince2 resource pack provides access to the full official Prince2 template pack for you here, all laid out, all the templates that are in the official template pack. I'm actually the author of the official template pack, which I produced for OGC, now the Cabinet Office, and these are all laid out here in the management products that you would normally see within the Prince2 methodology. We also went on and included a range of other templates that we wrote, which we think you'll find useful, such as appointments, and a couple of other things like health checks and things of that type, as well as of course putting in plans, risks and issues within the planner tools. So there's a fully comprehensive set of documentation here for delivering Prince2. It isn't structured into the full process sets in the way that we saw in 3-step and 5-step and DSDM a turn a moment ago, but it does provide some links to enable you to go off and download process diagrams and glossaries and other supporting resources for your Prince2 project delivery. Now if you want to, of course, you can upgrade this to the full Prince2 method, and that's the one I just created a project from a moment ago, so let's have a look at that. And this is, as I say, a licensed product and has all the material as laid out in the manual. So we have the groupings of all the management products into the various themes, so really useful for supporting our learning and understanding of Prince2. We can come and review exactly what we think should be in all these particular areas, or we can go and navigate the process in the detail that it's laid out in the manual. And here we'll see guidance about who's supposed to be undertaking each role and responsibility around the particular management products that we're supposed to be working on at this point in the process. So really an awful lot of information here, very useful for supporting training. Some of our customers do use this on very big complex projects, but in practice the majority of them tend to use the lighter methods because they're not necessarily running projects at this level of structure, but it is all here should you want it. And let's go on and have a look at the last couple here. So this one is of particular interest, which is to support a sales process. So this is proposal preparation process supporting sort of an active tendering activity or large scale sales. And again, it's just bringing out the fact that often we have these business processes we want to map out and deliver against, which have documentation in them, and that we want to store and manage and go through at levels of detail depending on the particular process step we're at. We want to make sure that people are doing that in a consistent, structured way, and we can collect that. So really we include this in Community Edition. Well, some people do in fact use it, of course, but it's predominantly included here just to make you think about what you can do with these business processes. And of course in our commercial packages you can then take and customize these as you want to, or in fact add your own completely bespoke ones. So that's a quick tour of Community Edition. Just want to point out a last couple of things here. We have a check for updates button. This goes away and checks to see if you're using the latest version and tells you when the latest version was made available, when you did, in fact, last did your check. and this will now allow you, if there is a new version, to download it and install it over the top of your current one, rather than having to go back and re-register again on our website. The next steps page here is a single web page shipped with your tool that gives you some basic information about the next steps that you might choose to take in terms of moving up to personal, small team, enterprise edition, etc. There's a whole load more video tours on our website covering personal edition, small team edition, etc. So I don't propose to go into those now, but I will just finish with the last couple of slides. So Community Edition, so now used by over 100,000 users for those standard methods, completely free, fully portable. In fact, you can run Community Edition from a USB stick if you want to, and that means that you can take it from machine to machine with you. If you're a contractor going into a customer's office, you can just take your USB stick, plug it into the machine, and you can use Community Edition exactly as I've been showing you, but from that USB stick. Of course, it can be installed permanently onto a desktop in the way that you've just seen me using it as well. Personal Edition works in exactly the same way as Community Edition. It's the same technology base, so again it can be used fully portably. You have to buy it, it's £99 plus VAT if appropriate, and being used by a lot of dedicated project managers to professionalise the way they're delivering their projects. It does all the things that Community Edition do, but you can then edit the projects that have been created. You can also edit the methods so that you can create new projects of your own type and with your own templates in, etc. And you can do reporting on the projects, and you can directly integrate with email for sending files out to colleagues. And when we come to our multi-user platforms, here, same technical product but just licensed in two different ways. The entry-level bundle of Small Team Edition for 20 users, £1,000, and it provides multi-user access, the full resourcing capability and reporting and assurance and audit trails, etc., as does Enterprise Edition, which you can buy the number of licenses you require for your larger implementations. And the last part of this picture is Planner. Planner is provided as free across the entire range, so to encourage people to collect and manage their plans, risks and issues in a more structured, professional way. Can be used very lightly, or can be used in a more heavily structured way and personalised to match the particular way you calculate and collect your risk and issue information. Okay, so a little bit about who our customers are. Very wide range, about 50% overseas, 50% in the UK. Lots of public sector, but also lots of private sector organisations who put their own methods in here. So if you've got any further questions, just drop us a line and let us know, or use our website. There's lots of additional resources and video tours and documentation there as well. Thank you very much.